Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales is directed by Joachim Roning and Espen Sandberg and stars Johnny Depp, Javier Bardem, Brenton Thwaites, Kaya Scodelario, Kevin McNally and Jeffrey Rush. In this fifth installment of Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, Captain Jack Sparrow is back and he's looking for the Trident of Poseidon, the key to controlling all the seas. But hot on his tail is the vengeful, undead Captain Salazar, a former Spanish captain well known for his absolute hatred of pirates. He's been wronged by Jack. He blames him for his curse that's been put upon him, and now he's setting off against Jack to also find the Trident of Poseidon and rule the seas. There's this big expectation that it could bring the franchise back to what made Curse of the Black Pearl so good in 2003. It was charming, it had great spectacle, well directed, awesome action, and actually a decent script and cool characters. You could actually get on board with what was going on. And Jack Sparrow was not used so much, but he was just kind of always there, and you always felt like, that's pretty cool. And the problem that the franchise has seen in the other movies is that he's just become more and more of the central character, which is kind of wrong. It doesn't feel right for him to always be the center of everything that is ever going on. We want to have better side characters to focus on, so that way we can have a little bit more of an actual dramatic sort of movie, and then we have little bits of Jack Sparrow thrown in there just for some good hard-earned comedy, which is what the first film did. Does Dead Men Tell No Tales do this? No, it does not. It is not as good as the first movie. And personally, and I'll get into this a bit more in this review, is that I found Dead Men Tell No Tales to be the worst of this entire Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. First off, the directors of this movie are the directors who also made 2012's Kon-Tiki, which I didn't particularly enjoy because I couldn't really get into it, but it was a well-praised movie. It was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film, and a lot of, great stuff going forward. And thinking, okay, guys who made a movie which is primarily set on this boat out on the ocean, that could be really cool for a Pirates franchise. And I was reading an Empire interview with them about the production of this fifth movie. They were talking about how they wanted to bring it back to the first movie. But you look at this movie and you look at the story and what is really going on, and I don't see where they were thinking that anything here has anything to do with Curse of the Black Pearl. Blame it on those pair of directors or blame it on screenwriter Jeff Nathanson, but when your movie repeats the same plot point 3 or 4 times in just the first act, then diverts into some really weird, just random tangents in the second act that absolutely boggled my mind, and then just rushes to the finish line, you got a poorly constructed movie. The dialogue and the story presented in this movie just don't pop anymore. There is some attempts at dramatic tension and some emotional sort of things happening that can make a lot of other movies, really work for some people. You can get invested, but the problem is they throw them out there and they're either the kind of developments that you see coming a mile away, or when they happen, they're so just cheesily done that you just can't take it seriously. There is a few character twists that go on, and I would have been a little bit more on board had what I was actually looking at, be, nice to look at. That's my biggest problem with this movie. It looks ugly. It is absolutely horrendous to look at in some scenes. I don't know where that came from, because the cinematographer for this movie, Paul Cameron, worked on Collateral, which is a just wonderfully shot movie. That was one of the first major releases to use digital cameras in such a fantastic way. And he also does Westworld, the TV show, which I haven't seen, but people praise the cinematography of that. So how did he go from such good work before to this movie, which looks like the same wet cement filter, just grey, dull, nothing colors of so many other movies that cannot use digital cameras well? Where did that come from? The cinematographer pioneered digital cameras, and now he's working with them here and they look terrible. Underscoring that is a lot of CGI, because, this is a big blockbuster movie, so there's going to be a lot of CGI used. Wow, so some of the CGI was really bad. There's some scenes where people are falling into the waves. When they find the Trident of Poseidon, the ocean split apart. You see that in the trailer. And while that is a kind of a neat visual idea, I mean, I've already seen that done far, far better in a very underrated animated movie, Prince of Egypt. You should definitely go out and see that. Give it a good rewatch. It is well worth it. But they have, Moses splitting the Red Sea, and that looks fantastic. And when they did it in this movie, I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. And they're walking on the bottom of the ocean to try and find the trident. All right, that's fine, I guess. But towards the end of that actual climactic battle, wow, it gets really, really, really bad. The CGI just looks completely unfinished. I don't know where that came from. This is a Disney movie. They usually put so much money into these things, and there was a $230 million budget put into this movie. So where did that go? Was it to the practical ships? Because, yeah, they looked okay, but half of them were also CGI. So also the performances of this movie were very lackluster. Jeffrey Rush was doing fine for what he is, which is Barbossa. Barbossa is probably one of the best characters of this franchise. But Javier Bardem is taking some weird choices with his villain, Captain Salazar. There's times when I couldn't even understand what the hell he was saying, or he'd make some physical gesture or would deliver a line in a certain way that I was actually almost laughing at. It was just unintentionally funny. Brenton Thwaites and Kaya Scodelario are fine, I guess. They're kind of dull. They're normal kind of characters. I found Brenton Thwaites to be annoying in some scenes. I found that Kaya Scodelario's Karina character to be kind of a Ray ripoff in some parts. They didn't interest me. I didn't care about their romantic connection and their stories, and they were given terrible lines to go off of, and I didn't care about them. And the biggest problem with the performances all around for this movie is that they're all supporting performances to the piece de resistance of just terrible, which is Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow used to be this incredible, fresh, exciting character in the first movie. People were blown away by what Johnny Depp was able to do to transform himself into this just entity in the first movie. That's why he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor. None of that is in this movie. He's trying to be funny. He's still doing the swaggering, slurring Jack Sparrow thing. It doesn't feel right anymore. He's an utter moron in this movie. He's, doing the big action set pieces where he's trying to be Charlie Chaplin, which, is a complete and utter disgrace to the name Charlie Chaplin. Or he's delivering lines that either you don't know what he's saying, just like Javier Bardem, or it just seems very creepy sometimes. I think that's probably just down to Johnny Depp not having the goods anymore. Look at his most recent performances from last year, Alice with Looking Glass, and his small little twist in Fantastic Beasts. I don't care anymore. I don't want him to come back. I don't want these movies to come back. I found Dead Men Tell No Tales to be tiring, to be boring. It didn't have a brain. It barely had a logical plot. They kept going back and forth between, we have to get the Trident of Poseidon. Oh, no, we don't have to get it. No, we have to deal with this. Now we're going to some random island full of drunkards. And what? What the hell is going on? There are some funny scenes. There's a few lines that I thought, that's okay, but it's just because there's no comedy for the first hour that even watching a goat eating a can would be decent humor compared. There are some great costumes at play. I think that this movie does the costumes probably the best because they're the most colorful. And like I said, there are a few neat visual ideas, but I just don't feel excited anymore. I was incredibly bored and just kind of creeped out and confused by this movie. There's just so much that doesn't make sense. Why is Paul McCartney there? Why does the Trident of Poseidon look like a prop from the recent Power Rangers movie? Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales is an incredibly ugly movie, and it's also a terrible movie. I find it worse than Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. It is the worst of the franchise, in my opinion. I don't want this franchise to go on any longer. Please kill it now. I cannot stand it anymore. And I have to say, the Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales is just not worth your time. So Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales. Have you seen it? Please tell me what you think about it in the comments below. There are going to be videos linked down here or one over there. For more Mr. Movies, please press my little face right there. Thanks for watching.